my name is Maddie, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about literally anything that comes to mind, which could be both a good or a bad thing. I guess we'll see. Based on the title, you know that we're talking about Descendants today, which is a choice for sure. I don't really know what's gotten into me, guys. I don't know. Today I'm going to be talking about the Descendants movies and also the specials that are associated with said movies. If you know a lot about Descendants already, then you know that there's also some books attached to the series, but I'm not going to be talking about those today because one, I don't like reading, and number two, my chronically obsessed sister has already made a video recapping all of the books and their part in the Descendants lore. So if you're interested in that, you should go check out that video. Link will be in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. Descendants is a movie series that aired on Disney Channel. The first movie came out in 2015, the second in 2017, and the third in 2019. Thus ends the trilogy, but a fourth movie, Descendants: The Rise of Red, came out in 2024. That movie is a spin-off, pretty much, but they do mention like the old characters in passing, but they're not important. The main cast for the trilogy includes Dove Cameron as Mal, Sophia Carson as Evie, Boo Boo Stewart as Jay, aka Seth from Twilight, Cameron Boyce as Carlos, and Mitchell Hope as Ben. There's more important people along the way, but I will mention that when we get there. Right off the bat, we are introduced to this world through a very 2015 idea of technology where the voice of Deb Karen lore dumps on us with an iPad. In this, we learn that the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, combines all the fairy tale kingdoms under a union, pretty much, called the United States of Oridon. So, like, the United States of America, except I don't really know if the Beast is, like, the president and he, like, is in charge of everyone, or if he's just in charge of Belle and Beastland. I'm not completely sure. And I don't really care. The only place that they conveniently leave out of this is Wonderland, but they didn't think of that until the Rise of Red movie. So Ordon is all fine and dandy, but the Beast decides to put all the villains and associates on a separate island called the Isle of the Lost, and puts a magical barrier around it so that they can't get out. Really cool, really cool. Also, magic does not work on the Isle because of said barrier. That'll be important later, so keep that in mind. Story here starts off 16 years later after this happens, okay? And Ben, son of Belle and the Beast, he's gonna become king. For some reason, he is becoming king at 16 years old. I don't know. I think the books explain this, but we're not talking about those, so it doesn't matter. And I think it's stupid. I think it's dumb. Like, the Beast isn't dying or old. He's just like retiring. So Ben tells his dad that they should bring kids from the Isle to Oridon because they never did anything wrong, and only their parents did, which is actually such a fair take to have. I think that Ben might be the only free thinker in this entire world. After his dad says, no, that's a really bad idea, Ben looks out the window to the Isle, presumably, and then we cut to the first song of the movie, Rotten to the Core. This song is about being rotten to the core, sung by our core four: Mal, the daughter of Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, Evie, the daughter of the Evil Queen from Snow White, Jay, the son of Jafar from Aladdin, and Carlos, the son of Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians. They wreak havoc on the Isle, as they usually do. Then Maleficent, played by Broadway icon Kristen Chenoweth, she stops by and she's like, actually, guys, you have to go to school in Oridon now. And they're like, ew, no, we hate Ordon and we hate Ordon people, which, I mean, I guess they were kind of discriminated against, so like that's fair. Then we go to Mal's house. I think it's Mal's house. I'm actually not completely sure, but we're gonna say it is. Maleficent tells Mal that she needs to go steal Fairy Godmother's wand, like from Cinderella, and bring it back so that they can take over the world. Yeah, okay. Also in the scene, we get like a good view of the parent and like child dynamics. So like Carlos is afraid of dogs because Carilla conditioned him to be, and then Jay steals stuff for his dad's shop, and then Evie learns that like she just needs to be pretty and marry a prince from her mom. And then also Mal wants to be as evil as Maleficent. Keep that in mind, there will be a song about this later. Then a limo pulls up and they get transported to Ordon from a magical bridge thing. And it's controlled by one of those clickers that you use to like get into your garage or something, which seems so safe. When they arrive at Ordon Prep, the entire school is outside to greet them, which honestly sounds like my worst fucking nightmare. I didn't like assemblies, so this like actually sounds like the worst thing imaginable. When talking to Ben, Fairy Godmother, and like the people up there, Mal is not subtle at all about wanting that wand.
I always wondered what it felt like for Cinderella when you just appeared out of nowhere with that sparkly wand and warm smile. That sparkling wand.
Worst villain of all time, actually. Mal unintentionally flirts with Ben. Then she starts beef with Audrey, the daughter of Sleeping Beauty, who is Ben's girlfriend, by the way. Yeah, not great. Then the core four is showed to their rooms by Doug, who is Dopey's son from Snow White, and he likes Evie. Same. I also forgot to mention this, but at Mal's house, Maleficent gives Mal her old spellbook, and the Evil Queen gives Evie like a mini magic mirror, like the actual magic mirror from the movie, but it's like small. In Jay and Carlos's room, Evie uses said mirror to find where the wand is. She finds it in the museum, so that's where they go. And then they run into the statues of their parents because they just have like a villain section of this museum. And then this is where the song Evil Like Me takes place. This song is about how Mal wants to be evil. like her mom. Kristen Chenoweth slays in the song, by the way. Then they find the wand, but then Jay reaches out to touch it, and then he accidentally touches the force field, which causes the alarm to go off, so they kind of have to like get out of there. They run out, and then Mal says,
"Way to go, Jay. Now we have to go to school tomorrow."
their first class is Remedial Goodness, taught by Fairy Godmother. This is the only class we see them go to, other than Evie's chemistry class, by the way. After that, Jay and Carlos try out for tourney, which is like lacrosse, but in the middle of the field is this kill zone where people shoot like frisbees at you, I think. I don't know exactly what they are, but they shoot something at you, which, you know, seems so safe. Don't get attached to this game. It literally never comes up again after this movie. Jay is really good, and Carlos is not. In the next scene, Ben talks to Mal at her locker, and then Audrey comes up to him afterwards and is like, you shouldn't associate with those people. Like, they're evil. Okay, discrimination. Then Mal goes to the bathroom and gives Jane, Fairy Godmother's daughter, a better hairstyle with her like magic spellbook or whatever. Yeah, because Mal has magic, by the way. And she also plants seeds about the magic wand. So keep that in mind. Evie goes to chemistry class and she falls in love with this guy named Chad, who is Cinderella and Prince Charming's son. He's an absolute douche, but you know, that's alright, I guess. She uses her magic mirror to cheat in class because for some reason it functions as Google. I don't know if the mirror in Snow White could do that, but this mirror can. Then Chad asks her to meet him under the bleachers at 3. Ben helps Carlos practice for tourney, but then the campus mutt, whose name is Dude, starts running after Carlos, and so then Carlos gets scared. But then Ben teaches Carlos that dogs aren't scary, and so now Carlos is the sole owner of Dude for some reason. I'm not sure if that's allowed, but whatever. Evie meets Chad under the bleachers and he asks her to do his homework. She agrees for some reason. Oh. Doug is following her, and she actually says, "Are you stalking me?" And he says, "Technically, yes."
Are you stalking me? Technically, yes.
I could quote this movie like genuinely word for word. I kid you not. Doug then tells her that the wand will be at the coronation. Yeah, Ben's coronation. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the coronation is happening in like since the core 4 get there, I think it's like 2 weeks time. So yeah, during the middle of the school year. Really cool, really nice guys. In Evie and Mal's room, Lonnie, the daughter of Mulan, comes in and asks Mal to do her hair, and so she does. And then off screen, I'm pretty sure she does like every other girl's hair at the school. Then through a conversation with Ben, Mal finds out that Ben's girlfriend gets to be at the front row at the coronation, like right by the wand. So she decides to make a magic cookie that has like a love potion on it so that he'll fall in love with her so then she can be in front row. She gives him this cookie right before the tourney game, like the next day or something. It works. So that's pretty cool. Then the tourney team wins. They were like really like happy about it, so I don't know if they like don't win a lot. I'm not sure. Then Ben sings a song titled "Did I Mention?" This song is about how did he mention? He's in love with Mal. Audrey gets upset, rightfully so. That's literally her boyfriend. After the song's over, she's dating Chad now. Quick turnaround, love that. Now Mal and Ben are going to the coronation together. Evie goes to chemistry class the next day, I think, and then Chad ratted her out to her teacher about her cheating with her magic mirror. And I forgot to mention that when they were under the bleachers, she told him about the magic mirror and was like, "Oh yeah, it like helps me cheat." Yeah, I don't know, that's kind of stupid. Don't tell people that. So then the teacher says that she'll be expelled if she doesn't pass the next test. Without it, but she does because she's an icon. She shows Doug, and now they like each other, by the way. Mal goes on a date with Ben, and she sings a song titled "If Only." This song is about her contemplating liking Ben. They go to the Enchanted Lake, and he swims in the lake. Keep that in mind. Then Family Day happens, which is like parent weekend in college, pretty much, and the Ordon kids sing a rap rendition of "Be Our Guest" from Beauty and the Beast. Then Mal runs into the Sleeping Beauty's mother, and she actually thinks that it's Maleficent at first, but still she's like, "Yeah, you're evil. You should actually go back to where you came from." Then Jane and Audrey make fun of Mal, so then Mal changes Jane's hair back to, in the words of my sister, a fuck ass bob. The plan to take the wand is now back in full force. At the coronation, Snow White is the host for some reason, and she makes a comment about Jane's hair, which is like, it's always bugged me. Like, that's so weird. Why are you commenting on this like 16-year-old girl's hair? Like, that's so rude. Also, like, bitch, you're one to talk. You have the same fucking hairstyle. Hello? Anyway. Mal and Ben are riding in this carriage to the coronation, and Ben eats the brownie that Mal made to undo the love potion spell, even though he wasn't like, she didn't want him to, but he ate it anyway. But then he was like, "Oh, I actually knew the entire time." Yeah, you remember the Enchanted Lake? Yeah, so apparently it like washes off spells or something. And so, yeah, he's just kind of been dating her the rest of this time because he actually likes her. At the coronation, right after Ben gets the crown put on his head, a hand reaches out and grabs that magic wand and it sends like a light beam something. I don't know. It hits the barrier around the aisle. And so then Maleficent, she grabs her scepter and she like flies away. The camera then reveals that Jane took the wand to make her hair pretty again. Mal grabs the wand from her and then the core 4 are all behind her and they're like, "Mal, let's get out of here." But then Mal's like, "No." She has a change of heart and she's like, "I actually want to be good." And everyone's like, "Yep, me too." Then Maleficent flies in because she came from the aisle and she's like, No, no. And she freezes everyone, and everyone moves the entire time, but they're supposed to be frozen, but it's just so hard to not notice. Then Maleficent turns into a dragon and tries to kill her daughter and her friends, which is a choice for sure. Then Mal defeats her by having a staring contest, which they do sometimes. Then Maleficent turns into a lizard. Everyone gets unfrozen, and then they all sing a song titled Set It Off. This song is about setting it off. Then at the very end, Mal says,
You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?
also at the very end, Believe by Shawn Mendes then plays after the movie finishes, and it's a jump scare literally every time I watch this movie. So Wicked World is basically just animated shorts of like little wacky adventures that the group has. The first season takes place right after movie one, and then the second season is like just a week after the first season. Quite frankly, the plots are not really important because they don't really make that much sense most of the time, and they're also never brought up in a film. But we're gonna review the main plots from both one and two because, in my opinion, it's canonical to the series. More on that later. In the first season, the first story arc is the VKs and AKs, aka Villain Kids and Ordon Kids. Trust me, this gets annoying very quickly. They have this whole thing with wishes because of the genie from Aladdin. His daughter Jordan, she like has her own lamp and she can grant wishes. Point of the matter is that they get transported to the Isle and then they meet Dr. Facilier's daughter Freddie, who is voiced by China Emma Clayton, which causes problems later, but I'll talk about that later. Freddie lives in Ordon because they invite her over there. Also, this whole Genie plotline gives us a Dove Cameron cover of Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera. The next plot in season one is everyone is preparing for the Neon Lights Ball, and there's also just a bunch of things like going missing. At the very end, it's revealed that CJ, Captain Hook's daughter, had Freddie sneak her in to Ordon just so she could like steal things. I'm not really like completely sure like what the point of her being there was, but whatever. In season two, the main plot is about the Jubilee, where they have a party and everyone has these things called birthright jewels. I know for a fact that they explain these in the books, but once again, I don't care. Don't get attached because they never come up again. Mal falls under a spell caused by like a curse on hers, and so then she starts like causing problems in Ordon, and she like steals a bunch of stuff. But then at the very end, it's revealed that Yzma from the Emperor's New Groove, her son Zevon, is behind everything. I don't think he put the curse on her jewel, but he was using Mal to grab stuff for him. Because I think Mal got him into Ordon, to my knowledge, under like said spell. Basically, Mal just gets him a bunch of powerful items because he wants to get revenge on Ordon, because don't we all? This isn't everybody. Zevon is voiced by Bradley Stephen Perry, but don't get attached because he's never mentioned again. And then at the end, they defeat Zevon in the tourney field, and Mal is back to normal. Okay, so those books that I said I was never gonna talk about? Well, we actually have to talk about them. So I'm pretty confident that the books are canon. I've seen arguments for both non and yes, but for my sake, they are. The second book includes Freddie, and they also mention CJ in another book. So that would mean that Wicked World is canon. And I personally think it's really rude that Zevon never comes up again. Hashtag justice for Zevon. I just like the lore implication that Bradley Stephen Perry exists in the physical Descendants universe. Pretty iconic, if you ask me. Also, the term VKs is introduced in Wicked World, and they use it in the third Descendants movie.
Eat my shorts.
At the beginning of this movie, we are met with a cauldron with apples, and we see the core four plotting around said cauldron. They suddenly break into the first song of the movie, titled Ways to be Wicked. This song is about all the ways to be wicked. Also, I don't really like Carlos's hair in this number. I also think I should probably put this out here now. I hate this movie. I really don't like it, and so I'm probably going to complain about it the entire time, but whatever. During the song, they turn everyone evil by forcing people to eat these apples. Then we get this crazy transition, and it turns out that it was all a dissociative dream that Mal was having. She's being harassed by news reporters because she's dating Ben. She's also blonde now, and I really like it, but don't get attached. We learn that Mal is struggling with the stress of being Ben's girlfriend, and so she uses her spellbook to get through life and do everything. So it's like an allegory for drugs. Also, when she gets super overstimulated, her eyes do that glowing thing that happened when she'd had a staring contest with her mom, so keep that in mind. Carlos really likes Jane, and so he asks Mal to make him a truth gummy so that he can, like, say what he wants to say because he's too shy to talk to her about that. If you recall, Carlos is still in custody of Dude the dog, and then Dude eats the truth gummy and starts talking. Unfortunately, this comes up later, so keep that in mind. The Royal Cotillion is coming up, and everyone tells Mal that going with Ben to this event is like the to be engaged or something, and she like kind of freaks out, low-key. Don't ask me how they know that. I don't know how many like people get married when they go to this event. I have no idea. Then Mel has this date with Ben that they've been planning, and she like completely forgot because her schedule is like kind of crazy. And then she uses magic for all the food, and so then he finds the spell book in her basket. Because I don't know why the fuck she put it in there. That's like kind of really stupid. He gets mad at her, so then she goes back to the aisle on a Vespa that she spelled. For sure, safety measures are definitely out the window. I also forgot to mention that she took her mom, who is still a lizard, in a box. Evie finds out about this and then tells Ben, which is a horrible idea, by the way. And so then the core three plus Ben decide to go to the Isle of the Lost. They walk around looking for her, and then they sing Chillin' Like a Villain. This song is about chillin' like a villain. Meanwhile, Mal got her hair dyed by Dizzy, who is Drizella's daughter from Cinderella. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Dizzy is listening to a song that is performed in Wicked World. So that could just be an Easter egg, but it also very well could be proof of it being canon. I think it's probably the latter, but that's definitely up to interpretation. And she also ran into Harry Hook, who is Captain Hook's son. They never mentioned CJ, by the way, in case you were wondering. He's friends with Uma, the daughter of Ursula, played by China Anne McClain. So Freddie and Uma canonically have the same voice that they conveniently never mention. They have their own little gang, actually, with Gil, the son of Gaston. He also ran into Evie in the gang earlier. Uma works at Ursula's fish and chip shop, and she sang a song earlier called What's My Name? This song is about what her name is. It's Uma. Evie and gang find Mal in their old hideout, and Ben asks Mal to come back to Ordon, and she's like, no. Then he walks out and he gets kidnapped. Skill issue. The gang tells Mal, and then Mal has to go meet with Uma, because for some reason she knows that Uma's behind this. Mal and Uma have generational beef, and so then they decide to do an arm wrestle for Ben, and then Mal loses, which is kind of embarrassing. So then now Mal has to get Uma, Fairy Godmother's magic wand, in return for Ben. So Carlos and Jay go back to Ordon and use Carlos's 3D printing machine to make a copy of the wand. Meanwhile, Mal and Evie sing a song called Space Between. This song is about how they're in love. Jay and Carlos get back, but they also bring Lonnie with them and a bunch of fencing stuff. I also forgot to mention this because it's like literally not important at all, but there's also like a part at the beginning and it gets resolved at the end about fencing because that's the sport this movie. Tourney season is now over. The whole point is that Lonnie can't join the team because of Chad being sexist, and so then Jay decides to make her the team captain because the rules never said that a girl couldn't be a captain. Also, the movie really wants you to ship Lonnie and Jay, but don't get attached. So the gang goes to the docks where Ben is tied to the boat, and Uma tells Mal to test the wand to make sure it's real, even though magic doesn't work on the Isle, and everyone knows this. But I guess in this movie it doesn't matter. Whatever. Dude snuck to the Isle, by the way, with Jay and Carlos. And so then Mal is like, oh, talk, dog, while pointing the wand at him. And so then obviously he starts talking because he's a talking dog. And then Uma's like, oh, gimme, gimme. And so then they get Ben, but he's just like, so I don't even know. He has no survival instincts at all. Like he's just barely walking around. Like, dude, he deserved to honestly get killed, to be honest. Then Uma tries to use the wand and she realizes that it doesn't work. Even though it shouldn't have worked anyway, but whatever. So then they all have a battle on the dock and they sing a song called It's Going Down. This song is about how the situation at hand is in fact going down. Then the fight will last for way too long of this movie's runtime, and then the gang finally gets Ben back, and then they leave. Back at the school, Mal fills everyone in on her personal struggles, and they have a group bonding moment, which is nice. Carlos asks Jane to Cotillion, and she says yes. Then everyone shows up to Cotillion, and Mal is wearing this hideous dress. Then Ben shows up with Uma, of all people, and says that they're in love. Everyone is really confused, as they should be, and then Mal figures out that Uma put a spell on him because she accidentally left her spellbook behind on the aisle. Then a stained glass of Mal and Ben is revealed because he'd been working on it at the very beginning of the movie. And then Mal tells him that she loves him, and then she kisses him, and then the spell is broken because of True Love's kiss. Uma gets really angry because her plan failed, which is so fair. And then she jumps into the water and becomes a huge octopus sort of thing, like Ursula, pretty much. And then Mal becomes a dragon. So yeah, the like her eye glowing thing, yeah, if she, I guess, gets mad enough, she can become a dragon now. They have a little fight until Ben decides to jump in and mediate the situation by saying, guys, we should all practice peace and love. Uma gets so embarrassed by this comment that she swims away. Mal turns into herself again, and now she is rocking this awesome dress. Mal and Ben are good again. Yay! They end the movie by singing the song You and Me. This song is about you and me. Not you and me, like them, you and me. Then Uma says,
You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?
in the Under the Sea special, Mal is walking on the beach and then she sees Dizzy and explains to Dizzy that she was actually just walking in the woods and saw this like glowing fire, like blue thing, and she started hearing this voice. And then she called out Dad, but she didn't tell Dizzy that. Then Dizzy gets possessed. Mal knows this because she sees Uma's shell necklace on her neck. Fun fact, I actually had this necklace when I was a child. Uma then speaks through Dizzy's body, and then Mal's like, hey, that's really unethical. Actually, you shouldn't be using Dizzy's body. And then Uma's like, I can do what I want. And then she actually breaks Dizzy's glasses, which is really rude. Then Harry and Gil come up behind her, and they're like partially possessed as well. I don't know. Then they slowly corner Mal to the edge of the dock, and then Uma speaks through Harry and Gil and says there's a war coming.
If it's a war they want, then we'll give it.
Then Mal jumps into the water, and for some reason she can breathe, which I feel like is a little suspicious, and she probably should have known something was up, but whatever. Then Mal and Uma sing Stronger by Kelly Clarkson in a music video style. Mal comes up to a wooden door, and then I think Uma like pushes her, and then suddenly she's back on the beach again, talking to Dizzy, and that whole thing was actually just a dream. Then she hears like the voice again, and then she says a danger is coming, possibly for Ordon. At the beginning, the core four are on the aisle, and we are thrown into a song called Good to Be Bad. This song is about how it's good to be bad, aka from the aisle. It's VK Day. Told you it would come up again. And the core four are welcoming more kids to the aisle, and they pick Dr. Facilier's daughter, Celia, not to be confused with Freddie. She is not mentioned. Dizzy from the last movie, and Squeaky and Squirmy Smee, the sons of Mr. Smee from Peter Pan. Okay. The core four head back to Ordon, and Mal is surveying the sea with binoculars to look for Uma because they just let her get away last movie. Ben brings her down to the school entrance, and then he sings a little repose of Did I Mention from movie 1, and then he proposes to her. She says yes. Audrey is back. She was away last movie, and she's in the crowd, and she's very unhappy about this news. The core four plus Ben go pick up the children from the aisle, and then as the barrier is closing, Hades, yes, like the god, sticks his arm through so then like the barrier can't close all the way, and he's also holding this like ember thing. It's blue. Then Mal turns into a dragon, and so then he starts shooting at her with his ember, and then she breathes fire at him, and then he like stumbles away, and so then the barrier's closed now. A little bit of a side tangent. I know he's the villain of Hercules, so like that's why he's there, but like shouldn't he be in the underworld? Like who is watching over the underworld? That's like actually his job is to be there. So like where are the souls going? That's my question. Also, why is like Greek mythology canon to Descendants? That's a little crazy if you ask me. Cutting back to Oridon, Audrey is crying in her room, and then she starts to sing a song called Queen of Mean. This song is about being the Queen of Mean. During the song, she goes to the museum and steals Maleficent's scepter from the first movie, and it transforms her evil. And so now she wants revenge. You know what, as she should. The next day, Mal and Ben talk with Fairy Godmother about how Uma is still out there, and also about the whole Hades thing, and then they also find out that the scepter was stolen, as well as like someone's crown. I forget who, but it was a crown from the museum as well. And so then Mal decides that they actually need to close the barrier to the aisle for good so that like no more bad things can happen. She also keeps the fact that she came up with this idea to herself. I wonder if that'll come up later. Everyone is at Evie's house getting ready for Jane's birthday party, and then Mal goes outside and then sees Audrey there, and then Audrey turns her into an old woman. Then she flies away to Jane's birthday party and puts everyone to sleep while singing happy birthday. Also, Chad is now Audrey's henchman, so the gang finds Mal and they set off to the aisle with Celia because apparently Hades' ember is the only thing that can undo like a curse from the scepter, which is really stupid, but whatever. Celia gets Mal to Hades' cave, and then Mal and Hades sing a song called Do What You Gotta Do. This song is about doing what you gotta do, like leaving your child. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. Hades is Mal's father. That's why she said dad when she heard that voice with that glowing thing, because like blue fire. Hades, blue. Yeah, you get it. Okay. Hades gives Mal the ember, but she can't use all its power because she's not Hades. She's only part Hades. So keep that in mind. Ben is in his office doing king things, I guess. And then Audrey pops up behind him and he says,
Just tell me who I am.
iconic. She's also put everyone to sleep by now. And she also turns people to stone. She doesn't turn everyone to stone, just some people. Then she casts a spell and we hear a growl. I wonder what that entails. Back on the aisle, Mal and Celia meet up with the group, and then Harry and Gil sneak through the barrier as it's closing. Then Uma shows up from the water and she looks absolutely stunning. Then Mal drops the ember, and it also can't get wet or else it stops working. But then Uma catches it, and then she returns to her human form, meets up with her buddies, and then the core four tell her about Audrey, and then she's like, yeah, I'll help, but you have to let all the VKs who want to go to Ordon, you have to let them go. And Mal's like, oh, yeah, for sure, because she still has that secret, by the way. I wonder if that'll cause problems later. They all go to the castle and then they don't find Ben, so then they just look through the castle to find him, and they go to this room with knight armor, and then Audrey gets control of all the knights. Everyone starts singing this song called Night Falls. This song is about knights falling. The girls stay at Evie's house afterwards, and Evie sings a song called One Kiss. This song is about one kiss. She kisses Doug, that is under the sleeping spell, and it wakes him up because of true love's kiss. To be honest, I don't remember actually when this happens in the timeline, but it like does not matter at all, and I also just don't like them. The guys go to the woods, and Jay and Gil are flirting. They find Ben as a beast, hybrid sort of thing, I don't really know. Jane comes up and sprays him with enchanted lake water, and now he's not a beast anymore. So, shout out Jane. There's a lot of movie one references in this movie as well. Jane also escaped Audrey's sleeping spell at her birthday party because she just went swimming in the enchanted lake once she saw Audrey. So yeah, they all head back to Evie's, and then Mal and Uma have to say a spell together to take off these boards that Audrey like magicked onto the outside of the house. So yeah, they're like bonding now. I wonder how long that will last. Also, Carlos gives Jane a necklace for her birthday that says Jarlos on it. I don't really like this at all, but it is very on brand for his character, so it gets a pass. The guys show up, and then they all go to the fairy cottage from Sleeping Beauty, where Audrey was originally hiding out. She's not there when they get there, but they find Chad locked in a closet. Then they walk back to the school, and then Mal has to tell everyone that it was kind of her idea to close the barrier forever. And so then Celia gets really mad at her because, like, that's so fair. That's literally where her dad lives. Like, she would never have to see her, like, she would never see her dad again. And so then she throws Hades' Ember in some water. Womp womp. Then Uma and the gang leave because they're mad as well. And then Evie, Jay, Carlos, and Dude get turned to stone. Then Mal sings a song called My Once Upon a Time. This song is about her once upon a time. Audrey is holding Celia hostage on the school roof, so then Mal turns into a dragon and uses the ember even though it had no power, but then Uma was down below, and so then Uma was like, I'll help you get some power. And so then she uses the ember to like hit Audrey, and then Audrey like passes out. All her magic is now undone. Yay. But now she's in a coma, so they have to call in Hades from the Isle to heal her because once again, he's full Hades. She wakes up and she's like, that was my bad. Oopsie guys. And then Hades says, the realest take ever.
When you guys tried to destroy the world, this is an error in judgment, but when it's one of us, lock him up, throw away the key.
Then there's a party later, coincidentally, right in front of the bridge to the Isle, and Mal decides to open the barrier for good. I feel like there's a lot of problems that arise with that, but I digress. Also, Jay considers taking a gap year so that he can travel around with Gil. Historians would call them roommates or something. Then Uma and gang lead the way for Isle people to cross over, while everyone sings this song called Break This Down. This song is about breaking the barrier down, as well as segregation, prejudice, you get it. Then the movie ends with the core four running to the Isle to see their parents. And that's where the Descendants series, and no, it's not. We still have another special to watch. In the royal wedding, Mal and Ben prepare for their wedding. Shocking, I know. Mal is practicing her vows while Dizzy does her hair, and then Audrey is also planning this whole thing for some reason. Ben comes to see Mal, but it's bad luck, so Evie hides her. Also, Maleficent is still a wizard, and Dude starts chasing her around, so they kind of like cause some issues there. Hades arrives and sets everything on fire, which is not cool. Mal, Evie, and Jay decide to go to the Isle to talk to Hades about it, and then on the way there, Jay gives Mal a bracelet that has all the core fours like little crests on it. This is in memory of Carlos after his actor Cameron Boyce passed away. They get to the Isle, and as Evie puts it, it had a major glow up. Pain and Panic, Hades' henchmen from the movie, are now humans, and so they won't let Mal into Hades' cave. So then she turns into a dragon, and then Hades comes out, and he's like, no, let's not. He explains that he didn't mean to set the place on fire. Like, there was just a bunch of things that happened, and then his hair like got really fiery, and it just like accidentally caught fire to these things. And then also he dumped a fountain of water on Chad because he doesn't like him. I think that's really funny. Mal and Ben decide to get married right there in Hades' cave, which is a choice for sure. Then Belle, Beast, and Fairy Godmother appear, and Fairy Godmother uses her magic to transport them to like the forest, which is a lot better. They also play a song titled Feeling the Love. This song is about feeling the love. Fairy Godmother transports everyone to the castle, and Carlos's charm on Mal's bracelet sparkles, so he's like there in spirit. And then everyone starts floating to the sky on floor tiles. Okay. At the very end, we see white roses that are painted red, and the camera goes down a rabbit hole. I wonder what that entails. And that's where the Descendants series ends. These movies are so special to me. Are they very good? Not necessarily, but they exist, and that's all that matters to me. If you have any opinions on this series, feel free to leave that down in the comments. I love to read people's takes on the internet. Also, I know someone might ask me why I did not talk about the Rise of Red movie, but that's because it's not part of the main trilogy, and also I don't like it very much, and I don't have a lot of nice things to say. I'm trying to be less of a hater recently, but if you want to hear me rant about why I don't like it for 20 minutes, I would be glad to do so. I, much like the Constitution, am for we the people. All that being said, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to like or comment or something. I don't know. Don't forget to check out my sister's channel. She's like a funnier version of me, and she's really cool and awesome. And yeah, that's all the yapping I have for today. Bye bye.